And do crimes against humanity deserve civility? That's the question we ask in tonight's preamble. As I said, I get emails from time to time, even from folks on our side, that accuse me of being hyperbolic. They say, you shouldn't call Democrats names. They deserve respect. Well, in my view, respect is earned. Up and down the cable news dial, left-wing outlets call conservatives and Republicans all manner of unearned and false names in an effort to denigrate, belittle, or silence us on the right. You know, I've always believed we should respond in kind to these people. I've not subscribed to the GOP's surrender caucus, nor will I, unlike the leadership in the Republican Party, I have a real sense of what's at stake if some of the most vile, inhuman, and classless people win unchallenged power here in the United States. We can already see the results of the GOP's timidity and the extensive harm being done to the United States by Joe Biden and his party that pushes socialism. Still, it helps for us to be clear in our criticism. I strive to choose my words, even the names I call Democrats, very carefully. I even try to praise Democrats, even though they have done little to earn praise amidst their destruction of our nation over the past few years. A recent email alarmed me because my tone had indicated that I was blasting a segment of our population that I revere. Teachers. Carol writes, quote, at the end of your show today, you mentioned how in New York City, the mayor took the mask mandate away from players, etc. It wasn't the mask mandate, it was the vaccine mandate. I've been out of work for 6 or almost 7 months because of this mandate. I am just a lowly public school teacher who will never see $1 million, but I have to be on leave because of it and is disdain for those who didn't take the shot. Also, I know you dislike or hate the United Federation of Teachers, the American Federation of Teachers, the National Education Association, but I have worked diligently at my job for 28 years, 23 in public schools. Hopefully, you know most of us are not what is seen on television. Carol, first off, you're right. Yesterday I said New York mayor relieved mask mandates on millionaire sports players. That was my error, and I appreciate your correction. But I wanted to read your email to let you and every other teacher across this country know you have my 100% support. And I never wanted to give any teacher the impression that because I hold corrupt teachers' unions accountable or I decry the failed government education system, that teachers are my target. I know you understand this, Carol. Our children and our teachers are victims of collectivist unions who sell out our children for their political influence. I also know that you understand that our teachers and children are victims of a failed government education system. My advocacy for school choice ensures that more of our children are going to actually get educated. It also ensures that good teachers get paid what they're worth, finally. The biggest mistake the people of this nation ever made was allowing the government to educate our children. And we've been seeing the disastrous result of that mistake in the last decade or so. In New York, products of GovEd cheered when a law was passed that allowed the slaughter of children right up until the moment that child was born. That's right. They cheered the killing of a fully formed baby. A few years ago, an extreme abortion bill was proposed by the Democrat-controlled legislature. They would have allowed a baby to die without care after it was born in Virginia if that was the wish of the mother and doctors. The Gateway Law failed by just one vote. Now, in the People's Republic of California, pretty boy Gavin Newsom's Future of Abortion Council has proposed legalizing the killing of children days or even weeks after they are born. New language has been added to Assembly Bill 2223. The proposed legislation would shield a mother from civil and criminal charges for any actions or omissions related to her pregnancy, including miscarriage, stillbirth, abortion, or perinatal death. Although definitions of perinatal death vary, all of them include the demise of newborns 7 days or more after birth. The bill was proposed, of course, by a Democrat Assemblywoman. Her name is Buffy Wicks. It would also protect anyone who aids or assists a pregnant person in exercising the right to kill their baby after it's born. It also allows a woman to sue any police department or legal authority which would dare arrest or charge a woman for hurting or killing her child under provisions of that insane bill. In short, Joe Biden's party in California wants to legalize infanticide because that's what that party does. I suspect Joe will get around to trying to force us all to pay for infanticide, the way he's trying to force us all to pay for abortions. Now, the idea of legalizing the slaughter of babies after they are born makes me sick to my stomach. I could say these policies are Nazi-esque, or I could call the Democrat Party that proposed them Nazis. I could say that policies pushed by Democrats seek to destroy innocent life, or I could call the Democrat Party a death cult. I could say that a nation built on a Judeo-Christian ethic wouldn't dream of doing this to the most innocent and defenseless among us. Or I could say this is how Democrats roll. They prefer their victims helpless to resist their selfish and evil prescriptions. Let me be plain. Infanticide is a crime against humanity. In some people's minds, that might make me uncivil. So to all of you who are critical of me properly identifying who and what Democrats are, how else would you say it?